Hello and welcome to our first product showcase of 2021. It feels like only a few weeks ago that we spoke to you in December about all of the exciting updates our team has released. But I can assure you, here at Robotify, we've been very hard at work in 2021 in order to try and create the best tools, the most educator-focused tools available on the market. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you some great updates to our existing courses. You've met Axel before, and Axel has some new friends that are going to define the next 12 months in Axel's world on Mars. We're also going to be able to share with you some exciting new lessons and new virtual robots, which are going to blow the minds of students across the world. For those of you that don't know who Robotify are, we are a company that is focused on empowering the next generation of children to access the next generation of robotics, but doing so in an educator-focused way, enabling educators the best we can. We've always been about making robotics accessible and affordable to all, and teaching kids how to code while doing so. And when we started our journey in high school, building robots, that has been our mission at every stage of the journey. And so today, I'm really excited to share some new robots and amazing updates to the platform, which are going to make your lives as an educator hopefully a lot easier, because we know this year it's been difficult. With summer just around the corner, this is a perfect time to announce these great updates to our product. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show today. So last time we introduced you to Axel, our lovable new robot on Mars, and it's been a couple of months since Axel settled on Mars. But today we're excited to reveal something which has been a long time coming. A couple of months ago, Axel received signals from Mars, and you may remember when I spoke about that at the last product showcase. Well, we felt Axel was a little bit lonely, and it turns out he was. And so we're excited to be able to show you today a really cool new companion to Axel on the Red Planet, which is going to make all of these new tasks and all of this new content very, very interesting in a way that it hasn't been before. We're excited to announce that aliens have officially landed on Mars with Axel. So now you've met Trip, Axel's brand new, lovable foe on Mars. Trip is this amazing alien robot that our design team spent weeks and weeks ideating. And I think they've wonderfully captured this mischievous new alien that has appeared on the Red Planet for Axel to interact with. Over the course of these brand new 120 tasks, we're going to take users on a journey to teach them about brand new coding concepts with a primary focus on traditional classical problem solving with regards to if statements and loops, and using that logic that it requires when you're learning how to code, interacting with Trip in this wonderful environment. Axel is tasked with all these challenges which focus around chasing Trip and getting to Trip to make sure that Trip goes away and allows Axel to go about the day job on Mars. And the really cool thing as well is, for everyone out there who's interested in robotics competitions, Trip and the content surrounding Trip represents huge value because there is a lot of line following, iterative design and planning involved in using Trip. And we hope in the next couple of months we can add a very exciting update to RoboDuel, which centers around a lot of the stuff these students will be engaging with. So as I said, we're so excited to be able to share with you new tasks, new Axel content, and Trip is a wonderful way to do so. So 120 CSTA aligned tasks will be going live on the Robotify platform. It's the beginning of semester 2 content for Axel, and we couldn't be happier with such an amazing robot. So what I'm going to do right now is actually I'm going to jump straight into a product demo to show you some of these great new classical tasks, which are just phenomenal from a planning perspective, from an iterative design perspective, and just from a code learning perspective. It's that next phase, it's that next journey from where you start off in semester 1 to where do we go now? How do we make our code better? And how do we explore more tasks? So I'm just going to jump right into this product demo, and hopefully you'll be able to see how this new style of content is quite exciting, and how Trip is just so mischievous in this fascinating world that we've built. So this is Axel's new 120 tasks. You'll see that the Mars environment that Axel lives on is slightly different. You'll notice that there are these weird pink trees, and obviously there's no trees on Mars. And as you zoom in, you'll see that there's this weird weed type material that is sitting here on the grid. And also new tools. So in this content, Axel is taught how to equip itself with new tools. And so users have to use different types of tools that change as the tasks go on to perform a variety of tasks. This is one of our first tasks, and it's very clear here that Axel has to navigate around the grid, use the laser arm to destroy whatever this new material that's arrived. So we think it's really a beautiful environment. We love all of this new style, and as you will have seen, this all weaves into the fact that there are now aliens. So I'm going to do this task. For anyone that hasn't seen it, this is our Robotify page. You'll be able to do all of your coding here, view all of your student content right here down the bottom, and then you'll also be able to change your task very easily using this task selector. Now for this task, I can see I have to move forward 1, 2, 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And then it should get to the point where it's able to destroy. So we can see here, it's 3 times that it's repeating, and again, more loops, more advanced concepts coming in. This is, again, the first task of the first lesson, so we're hoping this is easy enough for students. So let me run my code. Axel has now equipped the laser. You can see it on its body, and Axel has destroyed it. So as you can see, it's really interesting. It starts off with that new type of alien narrative. And if I flip over to a more advanced task here, you'll finally get to meet Axel's new foe, Trip. And Trip is this incredibly designed alien robot which comes from planet Alpha Centauri. And Axel has to chase Trip away because Trip is interfering in Axel's missions. So these tasks are all about getting to Trip and chasing Trip away. But you'll know now that we can use different sensor technologies. So we can see here objective reached and distance sensing. So this is starting to introduce students to the idea of sensing. And this is really important for anyone who's interested in robotics competitions. And also being able to introduce students to different types of if statements and weaving that in with sensors. So if I just get the solution here, I'm going to show you what a task looks like when we're using if statements, we're using sensor technology, and we're hunting down the alien robot that's interfering in our research studies. So this program on the left-hand side here will repeat until the objective is reached. The objective is getting rid of Trip out of the grid. So what do we want to do here? We want to use an if statement to find if the distance to an obstacle is 1. So let's say it moves forward here, it's going to detect that this is 1 away, and then it's going to turn left. But then if a distance to that next obstacle is 1, it's going to turn right. And it's going to just keep doing that until it finds a clear path forward. And if it finds a clear path forward, it will move forward by 1 meter. And so this, in this grid, should be able to locate Trip and chase Trip away. So let's see. So it looks left, goes right, moves forward, looks left, goes forward, and Trip runs away, scared, and Axel completes its mission. Again, if statements, sensors, and interacting with this fun new robot Trip and all these incredible missions that we've put Axel on. So really exciting. But where we take it up to another level is in the next module, where we can see that we start to introduce this crazy new detection formula of particle detection. Now, really, all this is, for anyone who's done this before, is line following. We really realize that there's a big gap in the Robotify platform for doing some great line following content. We know for any robotics competitions and for other engineering projects, line following is a great tool to be able to showcase to students the importance of programming. And so here, Trip has initiated its invisibility cloak. As an alien, of course, it has invisibility. So basically, Axel has to follow the line, which is a UV ray, to find where Trip is and get Trip off the grid. And as you can see here, it's really easy to know what's going on. It's a line and you've got to follow it. And that's what's so beautiful. It's so simple. But here we're using line following, we're using iterative design, we're using if statements, we're using different types of sensors, and introducing children and students into this new world of programming with advanced sensor technology. And you'll see Axel should now be able to follow the UV particle grid and the line. And if all goes well, Trip will appear from its cloak of invisibility. And it does, and Trip runs away. So as you can see, we're really focusing on more advanced concepts here. Fun content that integrates really well with this crazy idea of an alien being on Mars, but also keeping that core Robotify CSTA alignment and looking towards engineering standards with line following and moving towards a system whereby we can have something built for robotics competitions. And this is really where we want to be as a company, to be able to develop these amazing solutions that are built for success in different situations, whether you're a robotics competition tutor, whether you're teaching this to students in a classroom, or whether you're doing this at home. We really wanted to build tools that are fun for students, that integrate with Axel and Trip, but also can do if statements, iterative design, different types of movement, and different types of sensors. And this hopefully will all weave into a bigger update at some point this year, when we start to look at producing our own robotics competitions based on Axel and Trip. And I think just in general, we've had a lot of fun building this course. Having aliens is amazing, and you're able to see how fun that is for users when Trip runs away. And just having that company for the amazing Axel robot is so exciting. And we're just super excited to be able to share this crazy update with you, and hopefully you can all enjoy playing with these tasks as soon as next week. So this is Axel's Mars Adventure Semester 2 content, 120 new tasks, and now Axel has a friend/foe in Trip. So happy coding, and thanks for watching the demo. So as our platform has grown and we've been able to release new robots like Axel, there's been this consistent demand from our users and our students and our educators to add more drone stuff. It's something I see every single day. And I have to admit, when I got my first drone, it was an amazing feeling. I think for the drones, it's more so about how you feel when you turn on that drone for the first time, and how you feel when that drone flies through and cuts through the air. And it's kind of that amazing feeling that technology enables us to feel of, being able to fly for the first time ever and being able to have that level of control. And the other thing is that, especially during lockdown, I think we've all ordered takeout a lot more. And we've, I suppose maybe gotten more takeouts than ever before. And one thing which we're seeing in industry, which is so cool, is that there's these amazing new companies set up to deliver stuff using drones, whether that's delivering a pizza or delivering cargo. Drone delivery is the next stage of automation. And so as a company who is a big fan of takeout here in the office, but also a big fan of that next generation and also that feeling of flying, I'm really excited to introduce you to Servo and this brand new tester content. We're bringing drones back to Robotify, and we're going to enable you to deliver using drone technology. So finally, we're bringing back drone content here at Robotify. After the days of Drone Park, we decided it was about time to bring to life a brand new drone character, Servo. As you can see, Servo is this fun, lovable drone delivery robot, which is set up to be a quadcopter, which can move forwards, backwards, leftward, right, and up and down. It can really go in any direction you want, which is really the feeling you get when you're flying a drone. And Servo's goal is to go around the world and basically collect and drop off packages. But with it being based so far in the future, Servo has multiple obstacles to have to avoid and different challenges to solve. And so really the goal of Servo was, how do we create a version of Axel in a 3D world back on Earth in the future? And so I think our team have wonderfully captured that with Servo's fun character and even the cap, you know. I just love the drone with a cap. It just makes it so human. I think the students will really recognize that, and as educators, it's something that, you know, we always try to do, is what will students love and what will students think is fun, as well as making it hit educator goals. And on top of obviously the really beautiful robot, I think educationally the exciting thing about these tasks are that we are taking what Axel is and putting that in a 3D grid, putting that in a 3D world. And I think the primary objectives of this new content, number one, is drone delivery. How can we teach students about all that's involved in drone delivery, planning drone delivery, and becoming an expert in drone delivery? Number two is all about writing the correct algorithms to avoid obstacles. Out in the real world, you'll have birds. In this content, it's actually some really cool flying billboards in the future. And really what we want to be able to show is how drones use a variety of different sensors to sense and avoid objects in the real world. And so that's a focus of this content. And then the third one is the iterative design process. It's something that's a big part of coding. Can you effectively plan a route? Can you effectively plan an algorithm? And can you effectively build reusable code to use your drone in this fascinating way to go and collect and avoid obstacles, and ultimately make a happy customer at the end by delivering their package on time? And one thing I love about this content, which is not only does it look phenomenal in the night time with all these amazing lights in the future and this really fun servo robot, it maps so well to the real world. You know, we're really starting to bridge that gap between industry and school. And I suppose a really exciting thing about this is that it's not just CSTA aligned anymore. We're also aligning with the ISTE standards, which are going to help a lot of you in your day-to-day role to be able to align to multitude of different standards across computer science and engineering. And for us to be able to do that in a way that maps to real life skills is why we set up Robotify. How do we take industrial level experiences into the classroom in a way that students can digest and educators can deliver? And so we hope that you're able to deliver on your educational goals using our brand new servo robot and drone content. We're starting very small here. We want you guys to test it. We want your feedback, and we want you to enjoy this first 30 tasks that we're releasing, with more tasks to come in the future. We hope to be able to release this at some point over the next week, and we really hope to see great engagement and feedback on our educator community and throughout all the forums that we can get feedback through, because this exciting new drone content is just the beginning. We hope to be able to enable all of our users to get that feeling of flying without the huge bills that come with doing so, and the risk of, as we know, breaking some very expensive equipment. So we hope that this drone content is a sign of things to come, and I'm so excited to be able to share it with you all today. Okay, so now you've seen all of the amazing student content that we've released in this fantastic first quarter of the year. But really, our job here at Robotify is not just about students, it's about you, the educator, and how we make the educator's life much easier. So I'm going to start today in terms of the educator segment with some great news, which has probably been welcomed by many, many people. As you know, Robotify hosts a really great integration with Clever, one of the world's leading management information systems and rostering systems for schools and single sign-on. But I'm really excited to be able to add to that arsenal with Google Classroom integration. We're delighted to have been approved and integrated with Google Classroom. And this is going to do a few things. With the advent of a Google Classroom integration with Robotify, you're effectively going to be able to use tools you're familiar with to easily onboard students. We know your days are crazy, especially with all of the new measures in place. If you're going back to school or you're doing remote learning, it's difficult. So having tools that align with platforms like Robotify is really important. And so our team, I must say, have done a fantastic job of closely aligning and integrating Google Classroom with Robotify. It's very easy to import your classrooms, to choose which classrooms you want to import, and to get going in a matter of minutes. You can pretty much onboard all of your students in less than 2 minutes of onboarding. The integration itself is seamless. It's going to allow you to give assignments to your students in terms of Robotify, to give your students feedback in a very secure place, and to be able to post progress updates, and to be able to easily, of course, import all of your students' data into the system in a very secure way. That's all using existing protocols that are in place as a result of the phenomenal work of Google's team in the classroom. We know that there's tens of millions of educators on Google Classroom already, and so what we've done is make it as centric on Google Classroom as possible. All of the stuff you're already familiar with will work within Robotify. Students can simply log in with the accounts that they've created, and all of the data is transferred in a very secure way. So we're really excited to be able to announce this very, very important update to your lives as an educator. And we've seen it in the community. We've heard your feedback. We want Google Classroom. Well, we have delivered it. Google Classroom is from next week live in the Robotify platform, and you're going to be able to use it right away to the full effect. And so we're hoping this is just another additional feature to make your lives as educators easy. Making robots easy, making education easy, making teaching coding easy and accessible by removing all of the bits that cause friction. So enjoy Google Classroom. This opens up a huge world of possibilities, and I think it's just going to be one of those things that just becomes streamlined in your daily lives as educators on the Robotify platform. For those of you that have been using it without Google Classroom integration, it's going to make everything so much easier. And we welcome your feedback and any additional features that you guys would like. Please, we do listen. So we will always take that on board, because our customers and our educators are our number one focus at Robotify. So we're just delighted to be part of the Google Classroom family. And hopefully it makes your days of teaching much easier, much smoother, and much funner for the students at the end of the day. So yeah, we're really excited to welcome Google Classroom to the Robotify platform. So as you can see, we really care about you, the educator, here at Robotify, and I'm delighted to be able to welcome a guest speaker for the first time at one of our product showcases. I'm delighted to be able to introduce you Claire Selden, who is an expert in using gamification in education, has been teaching in Australia for many years about using coding and gamification in the classroom, and is definitely an expert on the topic. We had one of our amazing team members, Alex, who is an educational success consultant here at Robotify, interview Claire. And we're really excited to be able to share this really insightful interview, and it all weaves into how we work with educators at Robotify, how we listen, and how we design our content in our education team to be educator focused but fun for students. So I'm going to hand it over to Alex for what is a very intriguing and thought-provoking interview.
Thanks, Adam. Hi there. My name is Alex Bowers, and I'm an education consultant here at Robotify. And I help teachers and educators all around the world to get them set up and trained on the Robotify platform to help them deliver coding and robotics education to their students. Today, we'll be talking about the topic of gamification. And I'm very delighted to be joined by our special guest, Claire Selden, who is an expert in the field of gamification. Hi, Claire. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hi, Alex. Well, I'm embarrassed to be called an expert, but I think at this point I actually am. So I am the biggest nerd in the universe, and I have been playing games of all kinds since I was a very small child. I'm actually a second generation Dungeons and Dragons player, which makes me super nerdy. I'm also a high school science, history and technology teacher. So once I became a teacher, I worked in IT for a while, and then I became a teacher, and I used all of my IT knowledge and all of my gaming nerd knowledge in my teaching, which sort of moved me into the realm of creating games and digital teaching resources around using the ideas of gamification. And then I started teaching other teachers how to do that. And I've been doing that for a few years now, despite all the other things I've been doing to earn money.
Fantastic. So you've been kept busy over the last few years, but really, I suppose your career, your education has kind of focused around the idea of gamification.
To a certain extent, I have a teaching background in Montessori, and Montessori was all about project-based learning and the ideas of authentic learning. And gamification is actually a really great way to do project-based learning and authentic learning if it's done well, particularly if you incorporate the idea of story in anything that you're creating that's gamified, because students of all age, and I'm a high school teacher, but I have worked with upper primary students. It doesn't matter how old. In fact, frankly, your grandma is more engaged when you add a story around an activity or an idea. It's one of the really a basic ways that humans communicate, and education is essentially just communication. So when you are trying to communicate to a student in a way that allows them to use that knowledge or that skills or that understanding and then naturally communicate that to somebody else, gamification is a really great way of ensuring that learning process is engaging and that it takes place. And we know from the research that the more engaged a student is, the more likely they are to retain the knowledge and skills, and the more likely they are to persist. And persistence is this interesting thing that sort of comes up in education a lot, and it's underscores a lot of gamification, because students have to persist to learn, and it doesn't matter whether they're persisting on their times table or their reading or their coding skills or solving a chemistry equation in senior level chemistry. Nobody gets stuff the first time, and if they do, then they just progress to something that's harder that they don't get the first time. So what we want in education is for students to practice those skills and practice applying their knowledge in as many different ways and cases as possible, so that it becomes sort of intrinsic to them. That matters for their job. It matters, unfortunately, for exams. As a Montessori teacher, I'm not mad keen on exams, but I understand that in the modern education system, in order to succeed in exams, the more that you have your knowledge at your fingertips without having to think about it, the better. And gamification can really give you that as a strategy. I'll give you an example. So my husband is a maths teacher, high school teacher. And one of the things that he was taught was that the more a student can do mental arithmetic and the less they have to use a calculator for basic functions, the higher they do in a maths exam. And the reason for that is, one, because once your brain knows something, you can do it a lot faster than a calculator. And two, once something becomes that intrinsic knowledge, then there's less chance for error. So if you're doing a 10-step math problem and 5 of those steps are things you can do mentally, knowing that you're 100% going to get them right. You are just going to have more success. And one of the ways traditional mathematics teaching does is it requires the students to do different problems using the same formula or solution over and over until they recognize when and how to apply those problem-solving methods. Gamification can give you that same level of practice in multiple different ways, but it's more engaging than 10 problems on a page. There is a famous maths teacher in Australia. His name's Eddie Wu. And he came in the top 10 teachers of the world a couple of years ago. He's written books. He's an amazing guy. And one of his go-to strategies for ensuring students are engaged and do more work than they would otherwise is gamification. He doesn't necessarily call it gamification. He might now, but when I first heard him speak, he wasn't talking about it as gamification, but he was telling us, this huge crowd of teachers who were all eagerly listening to this world-class teacher, how he engaged his bottom-class year 9 students who weren't super engaged in math, let me tell you, but what they were engaged with was playing silly little games, which happened to get them to do maths problems. And he said, if I gave them a sheet with 10 maths problems, they might do 2. I gave them a game, and in order to beat their mate, they did 20 maths problems. And they didn't think that they were doing 20 maths problems. They didn't care that they were doing 20 maths problems. What they cared about was that they were having fun and practicing a skill. And to me, gamification, it can be as simple as that. Now, I would consider that form of gamification to be chocolate-covered broccoli. And what I mean by that is that really sophisticated gamification is much more than simple basic rewards, randomizing, or a bit of competition. They all work. They 100% work. But there are much more complicated, sophisticated ways that you can gamify. And in my personal opinion, Robotify is one of those examples. So there are educational programs that give students points, badges, scores, shiny bright lights. There's a reading program that gives kids rewards that they can then go and use to play stupid games, for example. So the more books you read, the more points you get, the more games you can play. It works. It's, in my opinion, not the best. And part of the reason is because if it becomes competitive, some students are always going to lose out. And my concern with that is that a child will not persist when they know that maybe they're not going to win. And so, whereas Robotify has some of the more sophisticated elements of gamification, which you find in most video games, board games, card games, even sport that kids play. So there's a story, something's happening, and it's more than just I won a point or a light flashed. So that's one thing. There's an element of discovery. The child doesn't know what's going to happen straight away when they do something. And if you look at the really great educational games, they all have elements of discovery. Like most of the people listening to this, Alex, you might not because you're a little bit younger, but there was this amazing video game in the 80s called Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? And most people my age, around 40, loved that game, and we played it endlessly. And part of it was because you had to discover things. You had to discover where she was, and it didn't matter. Like I must have played that game multiple times because it randomly generated stuff. It was not the same every time. And you actually had to, in order to figure out what the flag was or what country she'd gone to, you actually had to discover stuff. And you also within the game had to discover things. But then at the same time, what you get is feedback. So when you're coding in Robotify, when you're going around Carmen Sandiego, when you're building something in Minecraft, what you find is that these games that are educational give you this feedback. So you as a learner, you're discovering something, but when it's wrong, you know that it's wrong. And one of the things we find in a classroom where there's one teacher and 30 students is that it is not always possible to give students the timely feedback that they need. And it's one of the reasons why educational programs of all kinds are so valuable, is precisely because the teacher can be freed up for explanations. So let's say I've got a class of students and they're all using an educational game, then it's a good game, it is giving them feedback. It is, when they make a mistake, it is prompting them, it is suggesting, it is letting them know that it's a mistake, so then they can have another go. Now, if they have 3 goes and they still can't figure it out, then I, as a trained educator, can come and give them that prompt, can come and give them that extra help. But the other students are not held back because I can't give them feedback. And I do find that when I'm using educational games of all different kinds, and this could be a board game, it could be a card game, doesn't need to be digital, but any of those games, a just element of discovery, problem solving, which we haven't really talked about yet, is also one of the really key elements of a great gamified experience in education, is that the student has to use their brain. They can't just button mash. And I guess that's something we were talking about, so sorry, audience, but Alex and I were talking earlier before we cut from Adam. Hi, Adam. And we were talking about the difference between an educational game or a gamified educational experience and just a game. And I think, as we said earlier, Alex, that's really important to mention when we're talking about this, because there are some games that can be educational. I mentioned Minecraft earlier. And look, you can learn stuff from, maybe not Monopoly, I don't think that's a very good game to begin with, but you can learn stuff from your average board game. You can definitely learn stuff from Minecraft, all sorts of other games, but sometimes what you're learning is Twitch skills, like how to hunt somebody down and shoot them. And that's, as a Montessori teacher, not my thing at all. And so I think sometimes people hear gamification or games in the classroom and that's what they think. They think, oh, the kids are wasting time, they're trolling each other, maybe, you know, and what you need to think about is, are they either using a game for educational purposes, or are they interacting with a specifically designed gamified experience that utilizes what makes games engaging? The reason why we play soccer for hours, football, the reason we play football for hours, the reason that cricket, I love cricket. So, you know, why do I spend 5 days in a row for 8 hours in front of the television watching cricket? Well, because it's amazing. Because there is a story, because there is discovery, what's going to happen next, because there's strategy and watching them choose what ball to bowl, who's going to bat, all that kind of stuff. There is strategy, there is problem solving, there is thinking in that. And students get a benefit from playing sport that isn't just physical, it's intellectual as well. That if I design a well-crafted, gamified learning experience like Robotify, then my students have a chance to benefit from all those things that make games engaging within an educational paradigm. So when they're in that group experience, doing their hands-on robotics and problem solving, I want that coding thinking to be in their head. I want it intrinsic. And when they have one-on-one experience with this gamified coding platform, that's what they're getting, is that one-on-one, hands-on, I'm getting instant feedback, I'm discovering this, I'm problem solving, and I'm practicing those skills in multiple different environments, flying drones, underwater submersibles, Mars rovers, battles, robo-duels, super excited for that, that they're applying those skills in multiple different contexts. And now I think I've started to trail and possibly talk too long. Sorry, Alex.
Not at all, Claire. I feel like we could listen to you speak all day about this topic. It has been so incredibly interesting. Thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. But Claire, thank you for joining us. And I'm now going to pass it back over to Adam.
And now, if it wasn't as clear as ever how we are extraordinarily educator focused here at Robotify, I'm very excited to share with you possibly the most significant educator focused update in the history of our company. We're really excited to be able to announce that we are releasing a new course, but this time it's not for students, it's for you, the educator.
Welcome to our Robotify Educator Training and Development. Today, we are going to look at the Educator Fundamentals course. You'll see why it's an essential piece of development for educators, teachers, and facilitators who want to make use of Robotify with their students. The Educator Fundamentals certification is aimed at any educator who wants to know how to best use Robotify and Robotify resources in their classrooms. When we say educators, we mean anyone who's involved in teaching with Robotify. This means teachers in the classroom, coding club leaders, workshop facilitators, and even school administrators who want to see how their staff can best use Robotify. But what will you actually learn over the course? We cover 4 key areas: our Robotify courses, the educator resources linked to those courses, the classroom management system you will use to track students' progress and create classrooms, and the Robotify project system. In the Courses unit, you'll learn how to navigate courses and lessons, how to use the Robotify Learning View, and how to engage with other Robotify educators in the educator community. You'll also be given a handy cheat sheet of Robotify terms you can refer to throughout the course and after when using Robotify. In the Resources unit, you'll see how to navigate the resources and how to use the curriculum maps and lesson plans that support our courses. The Classrooms unit will teach you how to use the classroom tools to create student cohorts, track student progress, and student onboarding. You'll also be given a useful onboarding flowchart that will help you get your students using Robotify quickly and easily. Finally, you'll learn how to use the Robotify project system, including how to manage, fork, and share projects so you and your students can create open-ended projects. At the end of each unit, there's a short quiz to show what you have learned. By passing all 4 quizzes, you'll be awarded the Robotify Educator Fundamentals certification, proving you know the fundamentals of using Robotify in the classroom. The certification is powered by Accredible, a leading accreditation service which can be integrated with your LinkedIn account or kept as part of an e-portfolio of certifications. So, if you're an educator and you want to show your students, their parents, or your employers that you're capable of using Robotify to support your students' coding journey, try the course and get certified.
The Robotify Educator Fundamentals course is a 4-hour professional development course on the Robotify platform. As you can see from the really exciting video, this update is immensely helpful for teachers and educators. It's seamless. 4 hours, videos, tutorials, resources, quizzes. This course is actually really engaging. It's a little bit different to the normal Robotify courses that you've seen. We have our own brand new platform which we have available to teachers that sign up for the course, and we're allowing educators to go through it at their own pace on their own time, and it covers everything. So it covers the basics of the Robotify platform, the project system, the educator resources, the analytics system. It really gives you guys a full education on the Robotify platform. And again, you can do it at a time convenient for yourselves. There's no mandatory classes that you have to sign up to and show up for. It's really easy to fit into your schedule. It's something that you guys, I believe, will really be able to engage with and fly through. There's an educator community which you're taught how to use as well, so you can ask questions in the educator community. And it's something that we think is going to be a huge advantage. And really why we're doing this is because we believe that we should be the most accessible coding platform in the market. And we identified this opportunity to introduce a phenomenal suite of tools for helping you, the educator, get to where you need to be with the Robotify platform. So we're hoping that, coupled with Google Classroom and all the other tools our team have already built, will help deliver the best robotics program in schools in a way that's, I suppose, cost effective and accessible and equitable for every single student. And the best thing about this is once you've completed the course and the training and done all of the quizzes and you pass, you will receive full accreditation for being a Robotify certified teacher. You'll receive an amazing little certificate which is using the Credible platform, which is an industry-renowned certification program. And what that allows you to do really nicely is to be able to share your certificate with educators on LinkedIn, on Twitter. It makes it very easy to share on your resume. And it's a really great tool. Let's say you're a student in college and you're looking for a way to upskill and find a different way to approach topics. Once you complete the Robotify professional development course, you'll be able to get going and have that certification on your LinkedIn forever. And we will be adding updates to the certification course to teach you how to use stuff like RoboJoule, which we'll share some exciting updates about in the next couple of months. But we're just super excited today to be able to share this amazing program with you. We're going to be accepting participants into the program through a very simple application process that will occur via our website. You should be able to see the link on screen now for where to go to register your interest in this program. And I really am just blown away by the hard work of our education team to be able to deliver all of this fantastic student content, but now have a course for educators. So we're hoping this makes your life easier. And really, it's something that we're trying for the first time, but we believe we've actually got it right, and we've used our industry experts to guide this, our advisory council of educators in the industry, people like the amazing Claire Selden in Australia, and our head of education, Stuart. We've been able to pull together a great group of educators to really guide what this looks like, and hopefully this is easily visible from the video that you've just been shown, as well as the course, which hopefully many of you will enroll in the coming weeks. So we've come to the end of yet another Robotify product showcase, our first of 2021, and something which I'm very excited by. It's great to be able to connect with our users and our customers every couple of months over the course of these product showcases. Over today, we've been able to share some great new exciting student updates with the advent of our brand new Axel Mars content, as well as the new drone delivery content, which is very exciting. As well as that, obviously, the educator tools that we've released today, the Classroom, and we've been able to have the Google Classroom, as well as the brand new training course for teachers, and just a nice little interview with a fantastic educator who advises Robotify's strategy moving forward, and an expert in gamification. And I just love what we're able to do as a team. I'm very proud of the team here, and we're always open and listening. Pretty much everything you saw today came as a result of feedback from our users, so we continually welcomed community feedback. If you've tuned in today, we will be sharing all of the release notes and sharing the recording of today's webinar with every single viewer, and feel free to share those with your cohorts and your colleagues. And for anyone interested in using the content today and in getting registered for the Robotify Educator Certification course, or even just getting to know more about Robotify, you can go to robotify.com/trial, where you'll be able to register for a 30-day free trial for you and your classroom in terms of using all the lessons that we have. And we'll be able to help you understand what's right for you with regards to the Educator Certification course very, very quickly. So robotify.com/trial, everything will be sent to you after this webinar. And I just couldn't be happier to be able to sit back and share with you the amazing work of our phenomenal team. What I can promise you over the next how many years that we're doing this is that we will always put you first, and that we will always put our students first, because we deeply, deeply care about our mission. And that is to empower every single student, no matter what their background, to access some of the most advanced robots that exist in a cost-effective, accessible, and efficient way. Thank you very much for tuning in. Everything that you've seen will be available from next week. Thank you. Have a great day.